Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing one more side-by-side thing. I'm doing a big push on this thing because I have a trip coming up and I want to bring it on. This should be the last video where I work on it for a little bit because I have a lot of stuff I could do on the 240 because I have a dyno day October 6th. So I need to make sure everything's ready for that. That'll be super exciting because we're going to try and push every single ounce of power out of that thing that the engine will handle. So today we're not doing anything that's going to make this thing run better. This one's gonna just be strictly comforts. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I like sound systems. And before anybody says anything, I don't need it too good. I just like to have music when I'm doing stuff. So that's why I got speakers and a head unit. Because I think speakers in this thing would just make this thing so much more fun because you could have your music going, just riding around having fun with your buddies. So the head unit and speaker setup that I'm going with, it's nothing fancy because personally I don't care a whole lot. As long as it sounds decent. I don't need it to be the best speaker system on the block. I just need it to work reliably, and be loud. So I did a little bit of research and the stuff I have is gonna be perfect. And also, it's gonna be like up here, I'm gonna be going through puddles and this thing's gonna be getting soaked. I don't wanna have anything too expensive that can get damaged. And I know you can get marine grade stuff. My speakers itself are marine grade, but the head unit isn't because if I were to flood this thing, doesn't matter how good your head unit is and how marine grade it is, if it's submerged underwater, it can't be good for it. Nakamichi, that's the brand that I went with. So I went into the store and asked for the cheapest one, and because I anticipate it breaking, and I'd rather break a $58 one versus a $358 one. It just makes more sense to me. And then I got the Pyle dual tower speakers. This is basically what I'm gonna be putting up on this roll bar in the back. I just personally think it's gonna look super cool up there. I also didn't get an amplifier. I was told that the head unit is gonna make enough power to put out for these guys. But I also have a spare JBL amplifier just laying around. I have no use for it, so if I could figure out a way to mount it in here and keep it out of the elements, I definitely will. So this one is definitely overkill for what I need because I'm only really running 2 tower speakers. But if this thing makes this whole setup sound better, then I'll gladly use it because like I said, I have no use for it. I can't see myself putting a fancy stereo system in the 240, so this is the only thing left. One of the first things I want to do is just make sure that I can even find somewhere to mount it. I don't want to do all this stuff and then I have nowhere to mount it and then have to go buy a new one. This thing is pretty big. It's bigger than my hand by that much. So we need to figure out somewhere where to mount it in here. I looked behind the 2 seats, that's not gonna work. This side I technically could put it under the seat, right under there, but then this thing's like a big bucket. I don't wanna put it on the floor, go through a big puddle, and now I have 1.5 inches of water over top of it. All right, now that that's closed and I got the lights on, you can see, I think I'm gonna put it underneath the dash. There's a big cavity up under there. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but if I were to take this dash off, I might be able to mount it behind, and then I wanna put the head unit in here, just so it's easy access. But first I want to take this thing apart and even see if it's possible to mount it. Alright, so I got this thing off now and let me get a flashlight in there for you. So there's definitely enough room on that wall. I know it's filthy, but I can just hard mount it right back there and it'll be totally out of the way. So I found somewhere where we can put it, so I'm super excited about that. And then I also need a trailer and someone messaged me back. It just got posted a few hours ago and apparently there's like 15, 20 people wanting it, so I want to go pick it up right now. And I also need a little bit of wiring for this thing. Okay, so I went to like the electronics store and I got the right cables. They're right here. So the guy gave me a really good deal just because this is like their house brand. So I only paid like $85, which is a lot, but it's kind of the best thing that I had. But the only problem is like a lot of this stuff is like 17 feet long, 25 feet long. I only need about 4 feet of it. So that's the only part, but I think where I left off is I'm getting a trailer. As soon as I got to this place, the trailer sold because like I said, there's like 15, 20 people wanting it and it was a really good deal. But I was talking to the guy, he says for the speaker size, I definitely need an amp. So we're gonna put it underneath the dash. I think that's a really good spot for it. So we're gonna get this thing set up, get these wires cut. I like doing this stuff because, fun fact, installing a subwoofer and an amp, which I'm basically doing minus the subwoofer, that was actually one of my first car mods. So I had a Volkswagen Golf. Actually, I have a picture. I'll throw it up on the screen. Me and Emerson did that one night, but that's one of the things that made me get into working on cars. So this is cool. You get to revert back to where you started. It's just not on a car, but it's the exact same thing. So yeah, anyways, we're gonna get this stuff wired up, but I just wanna show you guys the speakers and this thing. Here's the speakers. So the brand is called Pyle. So like this is like an entry level marine grade speaker audio system. So this one's cool because it has LED lights, and this is like a little bar clamp because then I can just mount it right up behind the head. And again, I'll leave the links for this stuff in the description down below if you guys want to go buy it. But yeah, so there's two of these. The head unit, I've fully decided I'm gonna keep inside the glove box. That thing's gonna go underneath the dash. The battery is right underneath the seat, so that's gonna make all the wires nice and short and easy. So first, I think we're gonna try and mount the speakers, then we can start running wires to stuff. All right, I got all the bolts in there with that bushing gripper thing. I don't know what to call that, but they're all in there. It's quite tight in there right now, so I just need to loosen them off, make sure it's fully adjusted the way I want to, then we just tighten them down. And then the wires, we're just gonna figure out a way to run them down pretty sleek up into the dash. One of the main things we gotta worry about is where the headrest sits, and you don't wanna hit your head. So I'm just gonna grab the seat. So that latches in, and see how it sits kind of far back? That's exactly how we want it. And then we just want it in a little bit of where the headrest is. So that's perfect. I'm gonna tighten it down right there, and we're gonna do the same thing on that side. All right, I just got the second one installed, and tell me how good this looks. I think that looks so cool. And now I guess it's time to open up this and actually start wiring everything in. So this thing is everything you need to get this thing powered for that. And then it also has the RCA cables to go from this to that to that. So these things are fairly inexpensive. I highly recommend if you guys are doing anything like this. Doesn't have to be this brand is not sponsored, anything, but just get a whole kit. Like I know you can buy everything separate, but this thing comes with everything that you need, and it's fairly inexpensive doing it that way. If you try and piece everything together, then you're gonna be using a lot more of your brain power because you might forget something and you have to think of every single thing, and you're honestly gonna probably end up spending more. So I would highly recommend getting the whole kit. These things range from $60 to $200 depending on what you want. All right guys, I'm gonna give you literally the greatest, holy shit, that's heavy. The greatest demonstration of how this stuff works. So you got your fuse. The fuse goes between the battery and the amp. Then you get your ground. This goes from your battery to wherever. Pretend that's on the battery. You got your zap straps. Your RCA cables go from here to there. Then you got your power, which goes from here to there. And you just gotta cut this guy in half, add him. Then you got your remote wire. I don't think we're gonna use him. Actually, yes we will. This guy goes in there as well. These are your speaker wires. These go from here to your speakers. So this is the complete kit, everything that you need. But now we gotta get started. But there is zero room in here, so there is literally no room to film. So I'm just gonna get it done, then show you guys what I did. All right, as you guys can see, I got this thing mounted. I got 3 out of 4 screws in right now. I'll get the 4th later. But this is what I'm doing. I'm just firing holes and using drywall anchors because that's what's working. Use lots of Loctites, those will never come loose. But I had to do that just because this is plastic. So if I just use a nut and bolt, I have to use washers and stuff. But this is the size stuff I had, and I thought this would be perfect. But now I'm just gonna start wiring this thing in. So one of the main things I need to figure out is where to put the ground. That's because the ground cable that it comes with, it's not long enough to make it back to the battery. So I need to try and figure out where everything else is being grounded around here. All right, I just found 2 good spots, and it's either the one on the left or the one on the right. So it'll be right down there, and then the amp's gonna be right behind there, so I don't need much cable. And then I was just looking, luckily I found an old bolt. It's the perfect thread pitch, I'm just gonna clean it up. It's definitely a little crusty. But these are the guys that I'll attach right there, and then it'll go into the amp. And then once I connect the cable, as you guys can see, it slides perfectly in there. So the ground's connected right there, pokes through the hole, and then comes out this side and goes right down to there. But that's how that thing's gonna be sitting, so that's perfect. So now we gotta figure out the power. The power runs from up there, and it's gotta come all the way around down here to the battery. So I just assembled this little power cable. So I cut it in half, added the fusible link, and then got 12-inch section right there. So this thing's ready to be installed. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tuck it down into here, bring it right down there. I'm gonna have this thing tucked under there. I'm gonna just run the power wire down underneath, up along this bar underneath. There's like a 1x1 square tube. I'm just gonna run it up through there and then across over. So I got this one cut to length. So now it's basically done. I got that thing. I'm just waiting for it to cool down. I heated it up for the heat shrink. But this thing is gonna go just like that onto there, and then I'm just gonna tuck up all the wiring. Then it's onto this guy. So I'm gonna leave the dash off like this, just so I can mount it in there with ease, and then also access the back to pull some wires out. And honestly, I have to say I'm having so much more fun doing this on like a side-by-side than a car. I don't know why, it's just easier. It's easier than a car because like there's no interior plastic pieces or carpets or anything like that to worry about. And I think just like the ease and like the differentness, I don't know if that's a word, but That's how I'm gonna describe this thing because I've never done anything like this. So this is really cool. So we're basically just want this guy to sit somewhere just like that. That would be the most ideal. And then when this thing's actually up, I just took these little pins out. When it's up, you just pull it down, change the song, do whatever you need to do. It's hidden, it's out of the way, and it's in a good spot. I know it doesn't look perfect there, but I was watching other people's videos and I was looking in forums, and that just looks like the best place. Some people had it underneath their seat, but then you can't really access it while you're driving. Maybe even mount it to the top. That would even be better. Okay, so after a lot of finessing, as you guys saw, I got it in there. So it went in. That's the good thing. So I'm gonna drill the holes in the back, and then I think we can start pulling the wires through. I think it's that easy. We're definitely gonna need a big hole because we have a lot of cables that gotta come through here. So as you guys can tell, I did decide to go at the top of the glove box because I just think that looks better, because when this thing's up, then you only have to pull it down just a little bit to get to the controls, and then everything sits underneath nicely. So like, that's my decision to go in that way. So I'm gonna drill the hole and then start bringing the wires through and then connecting stuff. So right in the back, I drilled a massive hole, and I just took a Dremel and I just reamed it out a little bit. And then I grabbed an RCA cable just to see if everything fit. The two leading ends on it, it fits through, and I just had it plugged in down into the amp. I just need to start connecting cables. So this one is the remote. So this one will go from the amp to a ignition. These ones are for speakers, but we're not using them anymore because we got this to go from speakers into the amp. So we're just gonna eliminate this guy in total. This is the only one we need. Yellow's 12 volt power. Red is ignition. Blue is antenna. We're not gonna use that. And black is ground. It's extremely straightforward. So now you just gotta start connecting colors to colors, trying to find where they are in the car, which is gonna be very easy. All right, here's a quick update. This is an absolute cluster of wires, but I understand what's going on here completely. I know it's really hard, but there's like a lot of wires, and I have tons of wires going into the butt connectors and stuff, and I have fuses. But basically what I'm doing is I'm setting up the power and the ground for the head unit and these speakers, because there is an LED ring in both of them. So everything's going good. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to run everything. So this is the last one. This is ignition, and then I just gotta put that one through, connect it, and then we can test this. Hopefully it all works. Everything I did should be right, minus one thing. So the head unit I got, it doesn't come with a remote wire, and I Googled it. People say that they put it into the power antenna. So all the decks I've ever dealt with, they came with the remote, but for some reason this one didn't, maybe because it's the cheapest one you can buy. But yeah, so I just gotta do this last pink wire, and then that should be ready to go. So, steering wheel is a mess, dash is a mess, everything is a mess, but hopefully this works. So, I know everything looks terrible, and it's just because I left a lot of the wires long like that, and majority of these are actually cut down to size, but also the dash isn't in the correct place, so I don't know where all the wires are gonna sit, so I left them a little bit long. But as you guys can see, these things are the lights. Now, it comes with a controller so I can change the setting, so it does all that. So which one is this? This one should only be 4 wires. And it turned on. Okay, hold on, let me just pull all the wires through. Ooh, I'm getting excited. Let's try and do this. How do we do settings? Oh, I turned it off. Okay, well, let's try and... Okay, so we got power, but you know what we don't have? Wires from the speakers to the amp. Those are important, but this is one of the main things, is we got that. So, and nothing's on fire. And look at the amp. The amp does have power. One step in the right direction. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Now, turn this thing on. They're making sounds. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Let's see if I can connect to it. NQ, yeah, this is it.
Oh.
Linked. Now where's source? What is MW2? Okay, Bluetooth audio. Okay. Something isn't right. Okay, I switched around something. Hopefully this works. That's insane. I wish you guys could hear that, but I can't because I'm gonna get copyrighted, but that is so loud. Okay, I'm excited. All right, so these things absolutely crank. They are so loud. So I'm gonna finish for tonight. Tomorrow I'm gonna come back. We're gonna clean up the wires. I gotta get the dash back together. I gotta get all the interior back together, but this sound system is insane. So I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, all of this is done. I got the top section done, that's the 1/4 inch. And then right once it hits the speaker, then it hits the 1/2 inch. So unfortunately my zip ties aren't long enough, so I had to pinch them down really hard. I know it doesn't look perfect, but I can always get bigger ones in the future. But so it comes down, goes around, goes down, underneath the seat. Stops right there because the lines, they split off. So I didn't feel like putting it on inside there because that's just a brutal spot to stick your hand. This I know looks like a rat's nest right down there. But I'm just gonna leave that for now just so it has all the slack. And I'm gonna start installing this. And I can always reach up there, put everything into a ball, and then just zip tie it, just so when you ever need to pull the dash off again, there's tons of slack. All right, by far this is the absolute most I've taken this thing apart. Like I literally had the whole entire interior disassembled. I had the steering wheel off, had the shifter off, had all of the wiring out at some point. So here goes the test. See if this thing starts. I'm really unsure. And the dash is fully together, so I really hope this all goes together. But fuel pump's humming. This thing's on. Let's see if it starts. We're in neutral. And it started pretty good. And this is how the sound system's gonna be, just right behind that, just so it's kind of hidden. But still you can slide all your stuff underneath if you need to. All right, so far we're quite successful. I do want to take this thing outside just so I can test the lights in these things because I've had them on inside, but I really don't know how they look. And I haven't had the speakers running with the car running. Obviously it should work, but just in case something weird could happen. So I'm gonna take it outside just so it's not super loud and echoey in here. And it's starting to get dark outside so we can test it there. And it works. So those things work really well actually. That's like hurting my ears. So unfortunately I just realized I can't play music for you because that's copyright. Actually, I could probably just find a song on YouTube. Just go to any copyright free music and we'll just do this one. Oh, that's an ad. Of course. That's like really good. I'm like fully shouting and I don't know how well you can hear me, but that's so loud. So I really hope I wasn't just screaming at the camera because the microphone was facing me and not the music. So I'm gonna sound like such an idiot if I was just yelling, but the speakers are so loud. So this is a total success. It worked out exactly the way I wanted it to. The speakers exceeded my expectations. Like, they are some extremely cheap speakers, but it seems like Pyle is a decent brand because I bought a few things from them now. So I'll leave a link in the description for you guys if you guys want to get them. They are waterproof. They claim to be waterproof, but you know what? They sound really good, so I would say that they're actually pretty waterproof. I can definitely give you guys an update in the future on how they hold out. So that's all I'm going to be doing for today's video. I'm going to start ordering parts, I guess. I need a few things. I'll explain in the next video, but I really appreciate you guys for watching this, and I'll see you later.